The Federal Register is a daily publication that, among other things, contains documents relating to the promulgation of regulations by federal agencies. The promulgation of regulations is referred to as rulemaking. Most rulemaking uses a process called notice and comment rulemaking. The documents created during this process are required to be published in the daily Federal Register. These are the stages that agencies follow when they do notice and comment rulemaking. The stages in italics are optional and the others are mandatory. An agency publishes a notice of proposed rulemaking when it has a draft of a regulation or set of regulations. By publishing this notice, the agency is alerting the public to the rulemaking and allowing the public to comment on the draft regulations. In addition to the draft regulations, these notices contain a lot of information about what the agency is trying to do with the rulemaking. The final rule is published in the Federal Register when the agency has finalized their regulations. The text of the final version of the regulation is published in the Federal Register, and this text will ultimately end up in the CFR. Along with the text of the regulation is a lot of information about the regulation that is not available anywhere else. Some agencies start their rulemaking with an advance notice of proposed rulemaking. In this situation, the agency does not have a draft of their regulations, but rather is alerting the public about the rulemaking and asking for comments from the public about what the regulation should contain. An agency might publish an interim or tentative final rule before coming out with their final draft of the regulation. All of this is published in the Federal Register. If you need to interpret a regulation, you might want to know what the agency intended the regulation to mean when they were drafting it. This information is in the Federal Register. The Federal Register is available on Westlaw, Lexis, Bloomberg Law, and Hein Online. It's also available on the free government websites GovInfo.gov and FederalRegister.gov. Here's a document from the Federal Register that I downloaded from GovInfo.gov. You can see across the top that it's volume 60 of the Federal Register, page 62,134. It was published on December 4th, 1995. The Federal Register is published every business day, and a volume number covers an entire calendar year. All issues from 1995 are volume 60. The first issue each year will start with page number 1. The page numbers can get fairly large by the end of the year. Looking at the caption of this document, I see that this document is from the Department of the Interior, and the topic is the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act regulations. Notice in the caption that the word agency is in bold. Agency is a field that you can use for a more advanced search on GovInfo. Another field is action, which is listed right below the agency field. The action field tells you the stage of the rulemaking. This document is a final rule. These fields can be helpful when searching for documents within the Federal Register. Following the caption is a summary of the rule, then an effective date so you know when the final rule took effect. Looking at the background information provided, we see that in 1990, President Bush signed into law the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, and that this rulemaking is a result of that act. The Federal Register document also gives you the citation to the Notice of Proposed Rulemaking, and it addresses the comments it received after publishing the Notice of Proposed Rulemaking. The Federal Register has other documents besides these documents relating to rulemaking. Agencies publish different policy documents and notices in the Federal Register. There are some presidential documents as well. The Federal Register is located online in a number of places. It's available on 2 free government websites, which I am going to show you. GovInfo.gov is a very good website to know about for legal research. It has documents from the judicial, legislative, and executive branches of the federal government. For this video, we're going to look for the Federal Register. And we're going to find it by going to the A to Z index and looking for Federal Register. Note that GovInfo has the Federal Register going back to 1936, which is when the Federal Register began. Here I'm able to browse by date. I will go to the most recent issue, which is today's issue, Thursday, July 9th. The documents in the Federal Register are arranged alphabetically by agency. We'll look at the Homeland Security Department to see what they published today. Now I'll show you how to search the Federal Register on GovInfo. We'll go back to the main page. Don't use the search bar on the main page. Instead, go to the advanced search option. Here's a list of the different types of documents that you can search on GovInfo. I'm going to select the Federal Register. On the right side are search boxes. I can add some search boxes. I'm going to add 2 more. And I'm going to do a search to find final rules from the Food and Drug Administration having to do with tobacco. The fields in these drop-down menus changed based on the type of documents that you're searching. For the Federal Register, one of the fields is agency. I want to search the Food and Drug Administration. Another field is action. I want to look for final rules. So I type the word final in that box, and then I add the keyword tobacco and click on search. So my search returns all final rules from the FDA that contain the word tobacco. My search retrieved 79 documents. I can limit by date on the left. I'm going to limit to 2020. That leaves me with 2 documents relating to a final rule having to do with required warnings for cigarette packages and advertising. I'm going to open up the second PDF, which is 73 pages long. The regulations are not that long, so what we have here is a lot of background information. The other source I want to show you is FederalRegister.gov. This website adds color and pictures to make the Federal Register a little more interesting to read. What you see on the main page in the green box are links to today's issue. By selecting Browse at the top, you can see that you can browse by date, agency, and topic. I'm going to browse by topic, and I'm going to look for the topic Bank Deposit and Insurance. Bank Deposit Insurance. So here I see Federal Register documents on this topic. And you may notice throughout this website that there is a subscribe button. You can click on this button to sign up for notifications of any new Federal Register documents on this topic.